Coming up next, it's live from my office. If you're purchasing a new home, refinancing the one you're in, or securing a VA loan or reverse mortgage, do what I have done many times. I call Team Hochberg when it involves money in my house. Team Hochberg is your trusted local lender. Let me tell you about Liam. Liam is a trucker. He called for a free consultation because he was getting charged high closing costs by those rocket-loving lenders. Team Hochberg's loan officer, Johnny Hendrickson, explained the cost that rocket-loving lending charged him the last time he refinanced were ridiculous. Johnny then helped Liam lower his rate, pay off his debt, secure a full closing cost credit. You try to say that fast. And that lowered his payment almost $300 a month. So let's review. Rocket-loving lending took Liam for a rocket ride, and not a good one, by charging him ridiculously high closing costs. Meanwhile, Team Hochberg, who doesn't own a rocket, helped secure Liam a lower rate, a full closing cost credit, saved him over $3,500 a year. Well, that's good money. Listen, you live from my office listeners, Team Hochberg can help you avoid getting violated by lenders charging ridiculously high closing costs, but they can't do it if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or go to 56david.com, 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. And in these crazy interest rate times, it's more important than ever to call an expert, the only one I trust, David Hochberg and Team Hochberg at lower.com, an equal housing lender, NMLS number 1124061. Well, welcome to another edition of Live from My Office. It's Steve Cochran here. A conversation with Dr. Kevin Most about the latest vaccine. Is it a hybrid vaccine? It is a combo platter vaccine. This is the one that's been talked about all summer. And there are doses where you are and where I am, no matter where you are or where I am. Wherever in the world you may be, you'll be able to get doses to this edition of the vaccine. Why is it better? Well, it kind of covers more of the Omicron variants that are out there. And hopefully, as Dr. Most will discuss, next year at this time, we will actually have the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine of that time in the same vial, in the same syringe. How about that? Huh? How about that? How about that? All right, now, as we go forward, I want you to know how much I appreciate all of you listening, no matter where you listen. And we have listeners around the world, United States, Canada, Germany, Spain, Israel, Mexico, France, Australia, Jamaica, Austria, Greece, and the UK. And that's just to name a few. And some great cities around the world as well. Cities that you wouldn't normally associate with listening to this particular podcast. Not because there's anything wrong with this particular podcast, but, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. Marietta, Georgia. When you think Live from My Office, do you think Regina, Saskatchewan? When you think Live from My Office, I mean, be honest now. You can tell me, do you think Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan? Well, you might. But when you think Live from My Office, I know it's not the top of mind for you to think, I'll bet they're listening in Mesa, Arizona, in Los Angeles, California, in Tarpon Springs, Florida, in Mattoon, Illinois, all listening to Live from My Office. Look, I appreciate it very much, and even though we're based in Illinois, we're available everywhere you have an internet connection. So if you're traveling, please bring us with you. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen, because I wouldn't want you to miss a single episode of Live from My Office. Also included on today's episode, Paul Vallas wants to be mayor of the city of Chicago. Why is he better than Lori Lightfoot? I'll ask him. And my friend Andrea Darlis is on this episode as well, and she will question Mr. Vallas and Dr. Most as well as we go forward. All of it, of course, is brought to you by David Hochberg and Team Hochberg, charter sponsors of Live from My Office since the moment we rolled this out. We can't thank David enough at 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. And, of course, there also is a great deal of thanks that goes out to Terry Hanley and his amazing staff at Cantini Golf Course, also sponsoring live from my office. And guess where they're hearing the show? Well, they're hearing it in Vilanova i la Geltrú, Barcelona. And that pronunciation wasn't even close. And the famous French city of Marseilles, Illinois. I mean, they're listening everywhere. Everywhere they have an internet connection in Illinois, in the United States, and around the world. Like Torrejon de Ardoz, Madrid. I can't stop myself now. I just wish I had paid more attention in Spanish. In Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Oshkosh, Wisconsin, in Queens, New York, and on and on and on. So thank you for listening, whether you're in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, or in Chicago, Illinois, or in the Tenerife Islands. They are islands, aren't they? Thank you for listening to Live from my office. All right, enough about this. Let's get to that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Dr. Kevin Most will be up first, and then Paul Vallas, who wants to be mayor, with my friend Andrea Darlis. It's Steve Cochran. Continuing next on Live from my office. Late summer and fall, great times to play golf at Cantini Golf Course. Customer service first and always at Cantini. It's funny because I played a golf course, a very well-regarded golf course, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I guess now, and it didn't get great customer service. And it just made me appreciate what Terry Hanley and his crew do at Cantini even more. They just give you the best with 27 great holes of golf. Amazing flowers all over the place, by the way. It's a visual treat is what it is. And the Woodside, Lakeside, and Hillside Nines each have distinct identities that'll challenge your game, no matter how good you are or whether you're just getting started. Cantini, 5-time host of the Illinois State Amateur Championship, as well as many other regional and a couple of national events as well. Named Best New Public Course when it opened in 1989. And still, all these years later, being awarded again and again and again with all the great public and private courses in Illinois, always ranked amongst the top Illinois golf courses. And recently, the people at Kemper Sports that manage some of the best golf properties in America picked Cantini as their best property in the last year. So hats off to Terry Henley, and we haven't even finished 18 yet. The Red Oak Club is great, too, at Cantini Golf. You can join it for free and earn points towards all sorts of rewards. Sign up in a golf shop or call them up at 630-260-8197. Play golf late summer and this fall at Cantini Golf Course. And tell them we sent you. 630-260-8197. 630-260-8197 or cantinigolf.com. Dr. Kevin Most is the Chief Medical Officer and Senior Vice President for Medical Affairs at Northwestern Medicine, Sandra DePage Hospital, and our pal. And he joins us now to talk about this new, what's the right term, Doc? Is it a hybrid vaccine?
Yes, Steve, it's called a bivalent vaccine, so people don't get confused. Just bivalent means that it's covering more than one strain, which is exactly what we see in influenza shots. So it's really very promising.
All right, and it's out when? I mean, we got approval before, and we're going to get it soon?
Oh, yeah, shots in the arm today here in Chicago and Illinois, so they've all been delivered. The nice thing was, the United States ordered 170 million doses, and again, kind of rolled the dice on this, but certainly the distribution is here. About half of them are going to health systems, so Northwestern will receive some for some of their employees and patients, along with all the other health systems, and then the other half are going to CVS and Walgreens so that individuals can get it in their local community and not have to have the hassle that we had with the original COVID shots.
Good morning, Dr. Most. A question for you about who should get this. I mean, if we've been boosted, should we get this? Not boosted, should we get this?
Andrea, it's just got to be nice just hearing your voice. So
stop it, you two. Answer the question.
So here's the question. I'll run through them really quickly.
Okay.
If you haven't been vaccinated at all, you need to get the original shots. You need to get the original doses, whether that be Novavax, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, or Moderna. If you've been vaccinated but have not received any boosters, you can get this booster now. As a matter of fact, the original monovalent booster is no longer authorized. If you've been vaccinated and you've gotten 2 boosters, as long as the last booster was 2 months ago, you can get that now. So you want to wait till your last booster. 2 months later, you can get this one. If you've had a recent infection, recent being from June on till now, wait 3 months because you have great natural immunity against BA4, BA5. And what people have to understand is this vaccine is not only covering the original COVID strain, but it's covering the strain BA4, BA5, which is circulating right now. And I bet you there's not anybody listening to this call right now that doesn't know somebody with COVID. So that's how infectious it is, and that's how widely spread it is.
So there's no age restrictions or pre-existing condition triggers on this. It's based on the parameters that you just laid out. That's how you get it. How do we get it from the various places, and how long's the line going to be?
Yeah, I'm not sure the line's going to be really long, because if you look at people who have been recently infected, they're going to have to wait. People who have been recently boosted, they're going to have to wait. So there is no priority because we think we're going to have plenty of vaccine. The one thing with kids between the ages of 12 and 18, 12 for Pfizer. Pfizer is 12 and up. Moderna is 18 and up. So if you're between that 12 and 18, you want to make sure that the facility you're going to has the Pfizer. But really, there shouldn't be a big. There might be a little bit of a rush over these next couple of days, but I just tell people, take it easy over the next week. You're going to get some great protection. It's going to get you well through Thanksgiving and New Year's, and probably what we're going to be seeing year to year now.
Doc, to your point, we were supposed to have a family gathering on Saturday. My cousin got COVID. He's vaccinated, not boosted, but party was canceled, obviously. And I'm hearing more and more people now having COVID. Those who are getting it now, is it a lighter form? I mean, is it kind of symptomatic of a common flu?
Yeah, it really is. The symptoms are a little bit worse than flu for some people, and other people are getting pretty much asymptomatic, so they're kind of getting along with it, especially people who have been vaccinated. But we have to understand that the vaccine does not protect you from BA4, BA5. It protects you from getting hospitalized or any severe infection, but certainly you can get it. And the other thing I would say is that individuals over the age of 65 who are getting this now, make sure you talk to your doctor and get on Paxlovid. That's the medication that's going to decrease these symptoms, and it's really going to make it much more tolerable for you.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kicked it out for me in a day and a half. Mm-hmm. So my natural immunity from around the 4th of July gets me through the first or second week of October, so I shouldn't be considering this until then?
Correct. Yep. You got great natural immunity right now.
Thank you.
You've been, well,
thank you. Appreciate you noticing.
Here's someone that has been vaccinated and double boosted and still got it. Like I said, you're still going to get it, but now you have that natural immunity, those antibodies looking for BA4, BA5, which we know will wane, and that's why the booster is going to be important.
So we're coming up on flu season. Should we still get flu shots, and can you get the booster, this new booster, at the same time?
Absolutely. You can get them at the same time. I'm not a huge fan of getting vaccines at the same time, mainly because, the side effects are bad enough sometimes with one. Then people are hesitant to get that second one. So, I usually say, hey, spread them out by a couple weeks, but you don't have to. The CDC has said you can get them both at the exact same time if that's what you want. Just make sure it's two different arms. But certainly we want to make sure that people are vaccinated for influenza. We have proven that what mitigation we can do as well as high vaccination rates. Look at our influenza deaths over the last 2 years. Very low. Over historical data, it's just shown us that we can do much better in protecting ourselves from illnesses that can cause death in many individuals.
So the hope is maybe as soon as next year, all this will be in one injection and, be able to even make it easier than before. But the flu season itself and when to get the flu vaccine specifically, are we on that schedule now?
Yeah, we are. I'm a big fan of making sure you get it before the end of October. You want to make sure you have great protection as you go into the traveling holidays of Thanksgiving and New Year's, and that's the typical flu season. We know that COVID will have another spike and another surge in the winter, and that's why we're really important to have this. I think the interesting thing you said, and hopefully people heard it, the goal is going to be to get one shot that's going to cover you for influenza and COVID in the future. The beauty right now is our monitoring system is so tight for COVID that we can tell exactly what strain is going to be occurring this winter. We kind of guess on influenza based on the southern hemisphere and what's going around the world, which is not great data. So certainly we're going to hope that in the future we're going to have great data for both strains of whether it's influenza or COVID, and we're going to get one single shot in the fall.
It's Dr. Kevin Most, Northwestern Medicine, Central DuPage Hospital. You know what you ought to do? We used to do this in the old days. You ought to come down here to the studio and start injecting us.
Yeah, you know what? I'd do that. Anything to see you guys and give you a shot in the arm.
Excellent. There you go.
Right. And bring
I remember once when we were doing influenza, someone was going on a trip to Scotland and was afraid that the shot would affect that individual.
Affect my air travel.
I think of many reasons why not to get the influenza shot. But
she came around.
You put me on the straight and narrow, and you know what? I've gotten it every year since, thanks to you.
No, she absolutely came around. We don't want to say who it is. It's Andrea.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all right. I don't mind being outed to help people.
Yeah. So that's the deal. Dr. Kevin Most, thank you for the information.
You got it, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Take care. That's Dr. Kevin Most, Northwestern Medicine.
He's the best.
That's it. It's the best. Hi, this is Steve Cochran for David Hochberg, the title sponsor of Live from My Office, and Team Hochberg. Right now, interest rates have come down a bit, but they're still high. Having said that, life happens. People are still going to need to buy homes. And when you buy homes, you're going to need a mortgage. And when you need a mortgage, who would you turn to? There's a million options and a ton of advertising and promotion. That advertising and promotion sometimes is less than honest. You know what you'll never get from Hochberg? Less than honest. Sometimes, I'd argue, he's too honest. But he actually wants to save you money. So even now, with these interest rates being what they are, if you have to do a mortgage, there's only one place I would call, the place I've recommended to my sister, to my son, and my daughter, the place I've used and they've used. It is Team Hochberg, David Hochberg. They're the people to get it done. And by the way, if you're a company HR benefits manager, he's doing a new thing, an affinity program that it's free, and it's another great way to incentivize future hires at a time when more people need great people to come to work for them. What are you offering them? This is a great benefit. Again, doesn't cost you a thing, and it's going to help your new employees get themselves mortgages and the best mortgage help from David Hochberg and Team Hochberg. So you HR benefit managers, ask about it at 855-56-DAVID or 56david.com. Team Hochberg and David Hochberg, they're getting it done. Full disclosure, I like Paul Vallas. I always have. Now, should he be your mayor? Well, let's find out. Paul Vallas is here. Nice to see you. I'm Benoit.
Good morning.
And welcome to the show. I know you and Andre have known each other for a long time. And I know you love this city. And one of the things about Rahm Emanuel, as much of a pain in the ass as he was to a lot of people, Rahm loved this city. Loved this city with all his heart. And one of the problems I have with Lori Lightfoot is she continues to be her own worst enemy, and I'm trying to figure out something she does like. She's angry. She's angry a lot of the time, and I think we need some positivity. Can you inject some positivity into the city?
I like to think so. I certainly think my years as budget director as well as school chief during those 6 years was a pretty positive time. I mean, no strikes, schools opening on time, the buildings open through the dinner hour, on weekends, activities for kids, and so I'm confident of that. But, I think her fundamental problem is she doesn't know what she's doing. And when you don't know what you're doing, you can either do one of two things. You can do what I do, which is to find the people who know what they're doing and listen to them and be guided by them and to use their knowledge and their skills to make the proper judgments. Or you can simply lash out and isolate yourself even more and sometimes even criticize people who are trying to be constructive and to offer a constructive recommendation.
Well, it comes with the territory. If you want to be mayor of Chicago, you're going to get criticized. You cannot have such a thin skin that you lash out regularly. And by the way, I'll give you a perfect example that stuck with me is I have huge problems with Supreme Court Justice Thomas. I think it's beneath the mayor of the city of Chicago to stand up and into a live microphone scream, F. Clarence Thomas. That's the kind of behavior we don't need. It's not some faux unifying of the city. You can say it behind closed doors and in your office all you want, but you got to grow up and be mayor in this town because you got to have it.
Well, I think what she's trying to do there is she needs scapegoats. She needs diversions. Rahm
But it's not okay.
It's not okay. Absolutely, it's not okay.
In time, it's like we've blown up standards in this country to a level that we can't recover them.
Civility has to begin in the mayor's office in this city. You have to set the tone. Not only for the public, but there are school children watching and listening. And when they hear that kind of stuff, it kind of like all bets are off. You can do or say or act any way you can without consequences. So I mean, clearly she's been irresponsible in that way. But let's talk
about you though. Let's talk about you and why you're the guy.
13 members of the city council, and this goes to working with the city council as well. Now 13 are leaving. One alderman says more to follow. Alderwoman Garza said yesterday she's not going to seek re-election. What do you attribute that to?
Fatigue, frustration. I think the fact that it's the relationship between the city council and the mayor's office has really been poisoned. I mean, the council continues to pass just about everything she introduces, and they continue to not override her. Like Napolitano's nuisance ordinance, which is designed to give the police more tools to get at this lower level crime, but nevertheless serious crime. I mean, it's still stuck in committee. They can't get it out of committee, so they still seem to be a very docile council. But I think for a lot of council men and women, I think they're exhausted, and I think it's time for them.
Well, but you have to be able to. The thing that I always saw as a commonality, you have to be able to control the alderman of the city, and I don't mean that as pejorative as it might sound, but the thing is, the aldermen have a tremendous amount of power in their wards. You've got to have a strong mayor who can control them, but not control them to the point of holding a thumb over each and every one of them and saying my way or the highway. And that's the feeling I think this city council has.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. This is really an imperial mayor city. The mayor dominates.
Okay, there's too much power.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no balance of power. Like, for example, the mayor just introduced a budget that she claims has made significant progress. She says the deficit's $127 million. Yet, if you dig into her financials and you look at the data that's there before your eyes, the next mayor is going to be inheriting a budget deficit of between $500 million to over $1 billion based on the forecast. There's going to be no discussion of that. There's going to be no deliberation. I mean, they've approved just about every one of her budgets, despite the fact that they've been significantly structurally unbalanced, but yet they only make the smallest of amendments. So, so the city council, whether it's casinos, whether it's parking meters, whether it's the parking meter sales, whether it's selling of the Skyway, there's no balance. I mean, the mayor's office drives everything. Every bad decision that has been made in this city for the last 20 years, going back even from the Daley years, has been made by the imperial mayor.
So how would you back it up?
Well, what I would do is a couple things. The first thing I would do is I would create an independent autonomous budget office that would have access to all the information and the analytical resources needed so that they can do what they did in New York when they almost went. But
where would that power come? But where would that power be seen? Because you'd have an office. The office then releases the data to the mayor, and the mayor says, "Okay, I looked at your data. I'm doing it my way anyway." Well, how would that office turn into positives?
Well, first of all, the problem with the city council right now is they don't have the information needed to make sound judgments. So if you created,
the city council can't speak up.
That's right. So if you created an independent, because you're right, theoretically, this is a powerful council, but they lack two things. The first thing that they lack is they lack information, access to data, so they really can't make informed judgments. The second thing they lack is obviously the mayor, because she controls so many resources, because she's got the fundraising capability, that's a factor too. But you have to give the council the information that they need to make the right choices. And you've got to make that information available to the public, because it's easier for the council to make the right choices if the public also has access to the information.
Yes, there it is. Now, I want to continue along this line of, does the mayor's office have too much power? Because I believe there is too much centralized power. But, Andrea, get one more in here before traffic.
Ben, this will probably continue into the next segment too, Steve. But you want to make it easier for police officers to do their jobs, and you just came out with a couple of proposals that would make it easier for law enforcement, including giving them day off and waiving the residency requirement.
Well, right now you have a significant exodus of officers. We've lost we're 2,000 officers down from when she took office, and there's 2,000 more officers ready to leave right now, and they're actually lowering the standards for the recruitment of new officers. this is not going to change until you do a number of things. First thing you need to do is Brown and his entire leadership team need to be fired. They're incompetent. They need to promote from within. Hands down, she seems to be the only one who doesn't realize that. Second thing is you've got to put the police on a normal, consistent schedule and give them the option of working this extra time, because we had another police officer commit suicide. We've had 21 suicides since 2017. And then the third thing that you've got to do is you've got to support the police when they're being proactive, because the number of police arrests since 2019 annualized is down 70%. They are not making arrests, and you see it. You see it downtown. You see it with people stealing from the stores. You see it with the drag racers down, her version of NASCAR, so to speak. So at the end of the day, if you do those three things, I believe that you will slow the exodus of officers, and then it will allow you to recruit new officers without lowering standards, and you can begin to restore the balance. So those three things would make a difference.
Absolutely.
That would make the job popular again and something people would aspire to. You used to have to, you need the United Center to introduce new officers. You can now put them in a conference room at a Holiday Inn.
Right, really.
Nobody wants the job anymore.
Right, really quick. When my son returned from Afghanistan, he wanted to be a police officer. He wanted to be nothing but a Chicago police officer. He couldn't even get into, the list or lottery to take the exam.
Right,
he's
13,000.
He's a Chicago firefighter, and he was a combat veteran. Yeah. So at the end of the day, now, my God, they have classes, they have drive-through testing, it seems like.
Well, Vallas is here, wants to be the mayor. We're talking about why. Well, not the why from that. The checkup from the neck up. He already had to do that before he got into this fist fight. All right, so listen, you've held positions of power and authority in education all over the country, Philadelphia, and New Orleans after Katrina and here. And we were talking before the break about the power that the mayor's office has. This is a Daley invention. Mayors in Chicago have always had power, but it was Old Man Daley that set this office up to be the one stop for everything that moves in Chicago. We are now in a position where it has created more problems than it solves on almost every level. So let me just ask you about the police. In your opinion, should the mayor be in charge of police policy?
Well, I think the mayor should be in charge of selecting the police superintendent.
But the policy itself.
But I think what you need is I think the mayor has to make the ultimate decisions, but I think what you need is a couple things. The first thing you need a strong single oversight board that has a balance of public representatives as well as police professionals, so that, because right now you have COPA, you have the police board, you have like 6 or 7 entities that have some sort of oversight or the ability to...
But they're all advisory.
Yeah, they're
all advisory. So the mayor gets to make the final call. My point is, if I have a trained policeman on the street, I want them making the call on whether or not a suspect should be apprehended, not a mayor's policy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but ultimately the mayor needs to pick, whether it's in New York or any other city, the mayor needs to make that final decision on who that police superintendent should be. And if you have a strong board, if you have a single strong professional oversight board, then that can provide a counterbalance. So, so I think that the mayor needs to have that executive authority.
It's a board with weight. It's not just a board that issues a memo that the mayor gets to ignore if they want.
And as you know, Joe Ferguson has been a big advocate of this, and I'm a big supporter. The city needs a constitution. The city needs a city charter, which specifically defines what the single police oversight board does. It specifically defines what the kind of balance of power exists between the mayor's office and city council. The next mayor, if you really want reform, the next mayor is going to have to be someone who is willing to share power and to give up power and to
100%.
Institutionalize it, because that's what New York did after the city almost went bankrupt, and that's why that city was transformed. So I think that's what you have to do here.
Let me get Mark in here from Bloomington. Mark, what's your question?
Great show, and hi, sirs. And my question is, Chicago missed out on a lot of growth and jobs and everything else and pride by losing. They didn't lose it; they actually won the games, but they were, Brazil cheated out of the.
The IOC,
the Olympic.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just wondering if there's any plans for Chicago maybe to share some of the Olympic games with the LA. When it comes back to 2028, or maybe future plans for the Olympics in Chicago.
Well, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
Olympics in Chicago.
Yeah, you know what?
That you would share some of that with LA or go down the road, because this is a world city, and world city events cost money, but they should make money.
Well, first of all, the Olympics are the farthest thing from my mind. I mean, the priority right now for the city, because this is a world-class city, but unless this is a safe city, unless we provide all parents, regardless of their income, with quality educational choices, and unless we're a city that does the type of financial management so that we're not caught in this vicious tax and waste cycle, because Chicago right now has the highest taxes, the highest fines, the highest fees of any major city in the country. Unless we have those three things, we're going to continue to digress, and we're going to continue to squander opportunities to compete for things like Olympics and other type of activities. Look at the conventions that are leaving, or the businesses that are leaving, or the conventions that have not returned to Chicago. So those are the issues that I need to focus on. Those are quality of life issues.
I know school's obviously very important to you. As Steve alluded to, you were here, of course, New Orleans, Philadelphia. How will you work with the teachers union and the teachers themselves?
And clear something up, by the way, to piggyback on Andrea's question. With a guy who's done so much in education, why is there so much publicity out there that teachers don't like you?
Well, the teachers union leadership doesn't like me because basically I would not have allowed them to strike illegally or to threaten to strike illegally 3 times.
3 times.
They kept schools closed for 15 consecutive months. That is having catastrophic consequences. Not only have the kids, a recent study came out that they've lost 20 years of math and science gains. I think the preliminary test scores show Chicago students, 1/6 are meeting state standards. So the bottom line is catastrophic. But also, we have seen historic increases in violent crime against children and committed by children. Last year, I think 8 or 9% of the arrests and the shootings, and well over 50% of the arrests for carjackings, were school-age children.
Students, right.
So it's had catastrophic consequences. Do not think for a second that this crime wave has not been in large part fueled by the fact that we shut our schools down for 15 consecutive months.
It certainly didn't help. All right, we need you to come back as this rolls on, because obviously we're short on time, as we normally are with times like this. You mentioned that cops living outside of Chicago is a possibility. You want to increase the numbers of folks that come in. But there's one basic question I want to leave you with for now. From one old white guy to another, we're not the most popular demographic anymore. How do you get a fair shake as opposed to being written off because you're an old white guy?
Well, look, I mean, John Cass always talks about tribes. My tribe is anybody who feels that public safety is really kind of like a civil right, and every community
100%.
Needs to be safe and secure. I think public education and quality educational choices is the unfinished business of the civil rights movement. And my tribe is anyone who feels that we're spending too much on a government that is not delivering. So at the end of the day,
judge us because we're old white guys.
Yeah.
Judge what we're saying.
That's right.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Mention your campaign website one more time.
Oh, my Paul Vallas 2023.com. And if you look at if you want to get a sense of where I am on all these issues,
Policies.
you can all these policies. You can also go to my Facebook page, public Facebook page, Paul Vallas.
All right, you're welcome back. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, before we go, a big thank you to Dr. Most and Paul Vallas. Vallas and Most will be back, not just here, but on the radio show as well. I hope you listen on the Big 890 WLS. Again, anywhere in the world, you can listen to WLS radio from 5:30 to 9 every morning. After 9, listen, I'm not listening. Why should you? But between 5:30 and 9, I think you'll like what we're doing, especially if you've taken the time to listen to this podcast. And you can do it, as I said, wherever you have a smart device, anywhere in the world, or obviously in Chicago. You could actually listen on something we call the radio. You can still listen to these big, giant AMs all over the Midwest at the bare minimum. And in the morning before the sun comes up, you can hear me all the way to Mexico, the old-fashioned way. All right, a charity worth mentioning, DonorsChoose.org, DONORS, DonorsChoose.org. I've brought this up before, but it bears repeating. It's a terrific organization, highly regarded, 4-star plus rated by Charity Navigator, and it allows citizen philanthropists to fund projects they want to fund, like teachers in U.S. public schools not spending all of their money on taking care of their students. Donors choose a project that moves them, and then they hear back from the classroom with photos and updates and the teacher doesn't have to carry the entire expense, especially in underfunded districts. To date, they've funded over 400,000 classroom projects to bring learning alive for kids, with 11 million children getting books, tech supplies, funding for field trips and class visitors, and a whole lot more. Their vision, they'd like a nation where students in every community have the resources they need to learn, regardless of their status economically, regardless of their color, the color of their skin, regardless of their geographic location. And you can go a long way towards helping, he attempted to say, at DonorsChoose.org. Thank you, Ross Cochran, as always, the executive producer of Live from My Office. We'll see you next time, and when we do, highlights from the radio show yet to be determined. Oh, we'll find him. It's not like I don't have highlights. Stop looking at me like that. Thanks for being here. Steve Cochran. See you next time on Live from My Office.
30 years plus on the airwaves. You have turned your dial to me. Now you're tuned into my podcast. It's Live from My Office, Steve. From Ithaca, New York to Carolina South, W. Cochran, Steve. From Minneapolis and then Chicago twice, top-rated shows achieved. Sit back, relax, and now listen to my show. When or wherever you are, 'cause you're on the go. A-list celebs with some laughs and great info. Live from my office, the Steve Cochran Podcast Show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No better place to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Subscribe and like for free. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Live from my office, Steve. So glad you're with me. It's Live from my office, Steve.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Support the show by subscribing wherever you're listening and by telling your friends about it. Follow Steve on all social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And make sure you check out this episode's show notes for relevant information discussed during the conversations. You can also email the show directly at thecochranshow@gmail.com with any questions or comments. And that's the best place to tell us about your favorite nonprofit so we can make sure we mention them on the next episode. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event. And occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.